Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Sade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dating After Divorce podcast. It is Sade Curry. And today I want to talk about pressure and pressure in terms of the emotion that many people feel when they are dating. Pressure is typically a negative emotion. You feel it when you are thinking thoughts that create like a high stakes feeling, that create an anticipation of failure, an anticipation that something is going to go wrong, which, that all those thoughts also create anxiety. However, pressure comes from wanting to do everything possible to control whether or not something goes wrong, right? So when I talk to clients who are experiencing a lot of pressure before going on a date, typically they're thinking thoughts like, okay, this might go wrong, or I need to do this, I have to do this, or else. And then whatever the all else is like a blank statement. And you can fill in the gap with whatever the or else is for each individual. Typically, they're not aware that they have this needs to go right or else thinking happening. All they know is that they are feeling this pressure to show up at this really, really high standard. They're typically not aware of why they feel that need. It almost seems like when the pressure comes to, spend 2 hours getting dressed, change and, get your hair done and get the makeup done, or say the perfect thing, or show up in a way that's pleasing to the guy. It just seems like, well, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show up and look good. You're supposed to show up a certain way. You're supposed to create a connection with the person. You're supposed to be pleasing to the person. Whatever it is, that is the goal that would seem to be, hey, if I have this outcome, then everything is good. Versus if I have this other outcome, then everything is bad. When you have the feeling of pressure, typically what most people do is they try to avoid that feeling. Right? So they will try to avoid the feeling by overworking, overfunctioning in the dating process, or completely avoiding the dating process altogether, right? Sometimes I have seen women lower their standards when they are looking at profiles or when they're choosing people to date, because some guys appear so good that they feel the pressure to show up at a higher level. And so they won't date those guys because they have thoughts like, oh, he's out of my league. They feel the pressure to show up in a way that is not authentic to them. And sometimes they will simply avoid dating guys who show up at a high level completely to remove the pressure of having to show up at that level, which here's the thing. Your thoughts were what created the pressure. And that's what makes it like a catch-22, is because the profile itself didn't say, hey, you need to show up at this level or else. You were the one looking at the profile, interpreting that person as someone for whom you have to show up at a certain level, quote unquote. You are the one that thought that. You are the one that interpreted it that way. You are the one that created those requirements. And then you are the one who made the decision to either put that pressure on yourself to show up in a way that is inauthentic, or you wouldn't normally do show up that way, or to avoid the situation where you thought you had to show up in a certain way altogether. And this is the interesting thing about our brains, about our thinking, is that, like I've said so many times, your brain is trying to keep you safe. In this dating journey, your brain is just trying to keep you safe, except your brain might not know what it's doing. Like if you just let your brain run its already programmed beliefs and what it's been programmed with from TV or other people, what people have said, or what you heard in childhood, or what you heard in your first marriage, your brain is taking all of that information, which may or may not be accurate, Usually it is not accurate unless you've done like really deep self-coaching work or really, examined and inquired into how you think and how you show up. Unless you've done that kind of work, you're running on default programs. You're running on autopilot, and you're running programs that your brain thinks will keep you safe, not programs that are designed to get you what you want. And if you are experiencing pressure in the process, this is a big, big sign that you have some default programs running. I made a list of a few situations that I have worked with clients on that create pressure, right? One is I'm being too picky. Not the thought is not I'm being too picky. Their action, what they do is they're too picky with the profiles. They look at it and they're like, oh, I'm not attracted to him. By looking at the profile, first of all, can't really evaluate attraction through a profile. I talked about that in a prior podcast episode on chemistry. Can't really evaluate attraction through a profile, but your brain creates the necessity of doing so. Your brain says, oh, we have to feel attraction in this moment to these pixels we're looking at, or else. Right? And it creates that pressure, and then you decide to take the pressure off by either not swiping right on that person, even if they meet other basic criteria, or by swiping right on that person you don't feel attraction to, and then putting pressure on yourself to feel attraction, to create connection when you go on the date, right? Another way people create pressure is by taking responsibility for the other person's experience in the dating process. So sometimes you might find yourself going on a date and then feeling the pressure to make sure your date doesn't experience anything negative. So if he asks you on a second date and you don't want to go, you might find yourself saying yes. You might find yourself not making a decision about letting him go, catching and releasing when it's time to let him go, because you feel the pressure to make sure it's done in such a way that he doesn't feel hurt, he doesn't feel rejected. It's like, well, he bought me dinner and I don't want him to think I'm taking advantage of him, and he was such a nice guy, but I don't like him. So you're piling the pressure to make sure that he has this amazing experience, but you're not in control of that. Like, there's literally no way that you can control what another person is going to feel based on your actions. Another thought that creates pressure is, I don't want to waste his time, or I don't want to waste my time. So when you're thinking that you're wasting time versus you're investing time in the dating process, or when you're thinking you're wasting someone else's time, you put pressure on yourself to make decisions, maybe when you're not quite ready to make the decision, right? I don't want to waste my time. So you're looking at the profiles and you are evaluating the profiles for whether or not that person is going to be a waste of time, even when you don't have enough information to know whether it's going to be a waste of time or not. Or if you think the person might like you and you're not sure you like them, maybe if you've had a phone call or if you have texted back and forth, you're not sure you like them, but because they like you, you don't give yourself the opportunity to go on a date to evaluate whether or not you like them, because you, quote unquote, don't want to waste his time. Because he seems super interested and I'm not sure I really like him and I don't want to waste his time. So I'm going to put pressure on myself to make this decision earlier than I should, instead of actually going through the process and getting to the place where you're like, oh, now I have all the information I need and I can make a decision that is right for me, which is all that is your responsibility. The other people on the apps are responsible for themselves. But if you put pressure on yourself to control their experience plus your experience, you will make decisions or do things that you may not be ready to do. You may do them too quickly, or you may wait too long to tell a man no because you don't want to hurt his feelings. Another source of pressure in dating is what other people will think. I have literally witnessed women evaluating a man's attractiveness, not based on what they think, but based on whether or not their friends will think that the guy is cute. Like, what their friends think is weighing so heavily on them that they don't have a clear idea what they like. and they're going off of what their friends have approved of or not approved of in the past. Or sometimes it's just what family will think. Like, oh, if I go on 3 dates with this guy and then I let him go, my mom will say I'm too picky, or my mom will say I did it wrong, or my dad or friend, whoever it is, people outside of yourself. If you care about their perception of you, if you care about what they say about your dating journey, you are creating pressure on yourself, not just to pick a partner that's healthy, but then to also pick a partner that pleases other people, right? And of course, you might have a few friends who are wise and discerning, and all they want is for you to pick a relationship that's healthy. I am not dissing that at all. Those friends and those family members are very, very helpful on this journey, and they can be sort of like a second set of eyes, but they will never put pressure on you, right? The people who are healthy in your community will not put pressure on you, will not make disparaging comments, will not make shaming comments about you based on your dating choices. Sometimes you put pressure on yourself when you think you can't handle something going wrong along the way. And so you put pressure on yourself to figure it all out, like right at the beginning. If I am not certain that nothing will go wrong if I swipe right on this guy, then I won't swipe right. If I am not sure that nothing will go wrong when I text this person, then I'm not going to text them. That is a lot of pressure. You're putting the pressure on yourself to make sure everything goes perfectly at every moment of the dating journey. But that's not how life works, right? You can't put pressure on yourself to always know exactly what to say via text or in person. You can't put pressure on yourself to show up in a way that makes someone else like you, because we can't control the outcomes in life. You cannot control other people. No matter how much you try, you can't control other people. I see a lot of this with my clients who are what I call A students. You've been an A student your whole life. You were an A student in grade school, A student in high school. You aced the AP courses. You were on the dean's list in college. You have always done it right. You always made it happen. You always did it right. And in fact, having a divorce was one of the things that was so heartbreaking for you, because it was one of the things you just didn't do right. And that created so much shame and so much pain for you, because you've put pressure on yourself to always get it right. Dating can be the opportunity for you to reverse that perfectionism, for you to reverse that way of showing up in life with so much pressure to get it right, with so much difficulty processing failure, or processing, shame or humiliation or embarrassment or weirdness or awkwardness, right? Those things are all part of life. And if you are spending all of your time trying to avoid negative situations that are just a part of life, that are just a part of taking a risk, that are just a part of doing something new, you may never create the resilience you need to actually succeed in dating or in business or going for the promotion and other things. All of these big things that we want to create require some level of being willing to experience failure, however you define failure. All of the things I've listed are they are some form of avoiding failure. The failure of your friend saying he's not cute, the failure of your mom saying you're too picky, the failure of going on that date thinking you would be attracted to him and you weren't, the failure of not being very clear up front and then he got the wrong idea and then you had to handle that situation. All of those things are a normal part of a dating journey. But if you see them as being catastrophic situations that you can't handle, you will avoid them. You will avoid them by avoiding dating or avoiding things you need to do while you're dating. And you will try to avoid those situations by trying to control your dating environment, by trying to create an excessive amount of everything must go right, cautious statements, which just end up keeping you in this little box where you're not experiencing everything you need to experience. You're not learning everything you need to learn in order to succeed. You won't be able to experience a small amount of failure, evaluate, fix it, and go back out there because the failure will be so painful. So here are some thoughts that you can think and adapt to your situation. Wherever it is you're experiencing failure, you can adapt these thoughts and ways of thinking to it. So anytime you're looking at the app or going on a date or thinking about dating and you feel pressure, that's the first step, is to recognize, there's pressure. Where is this pressure coming from? And then you can do some inquiry and figure out, okay, what am I thinking? What is the situation that is creating these thoughts around pressure? That's creating this emotion of pressure, like up in my chest. I'm feeling that tightness. I'm feeling that it feels like a gigantic anvil on my chest. When that feeling comes up, that's when you want to see where the pressure is coming from. And as you examine that situation, you can start to say, well, what if I was willing to just learn? What if I was willing to grow from this, right? What if you framed dating as meeting up with some good humans? I've been teaching my clients to refer to dating as just a meet and greet. It's just a meet and greet, right? We're not showing up there with wedding rings or anything like that. We're just meeting with new humans. We're just learning. We're just practicing and getting better. To choose thoughts about being willing. I'm willing to do this and learn. I'm willing to do this until I meet the one. I'm willing to grow and change in this process. I'm willing to go out there and find out what I need to know, right? Instead of putting pressure on yourself to know what you need to know about dating ahead of time. You can choose a thought like, I can handle whatever comes, right? That can take the pressure off trying to make sure nothing goes wrong. What if you could handle whatever came? What if you were able to say, you know what? It's just coffee. It's at a public place. And I'm not giving away any information that is, too personal. I can handle that. What if you were able to think, well, if he gets mad because I said no, what if I could handle that too? So all of those situations that might be causing you to shrink away from dating, or that might be making you over prepare. What if you could handle it if it happened? What if you could handle blanking out during a conversation? What if you could handle not knowing what to say? Right? What if you could handle, one hour of your time going into meeting up with someone and him not turning out to be the one? Right? Start to think about how you want to take pressure off your dating. Pressure is just not a productive emotion when it comes to dating. Like it just really does not produce anything good. It does not produce you thinking clearly. It does not produce you evaluating clearly. It does not produce you being fun and authentic on your dates. So if you're experiencing a lot of pressure, you really want to take a step back and examine what's going on there and start doing the work to resolve where the pressure is coming from. And if you would like some support with doing that, as well as your entire dating journey, I want to encourage you to reach out to me. You can email me. You can click in the show notes to schedule a consultation call, or just DM me on any of the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. I am on most of them, or even LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So that's today's episode. Let's take the pressure off. Thanks for your time and attention, and I will talk to you later. Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to sadecurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.